We face uncertainty in the global economy and an increasing number of conflicts across the world. We witness continued Russian aggression against Ukraine. We confront a devastating humanitarian crisis in Gaza with urgent needs growing by the day, and we now also grapple with conflict between Israel and Iran. At the same time, we also face risks to economic growth, risks fueled by policy uncertainty and trade disputes. Against this backdrop, the G7 carries an important responsibility. The G7 must lead with unity and purpose. We must step up our efforts in the Middle East. Iran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. This issue should be addressed by diplomatic means. This is the time, now is time to give space for diplomacy and to give opportunity to decrease the escalation between Israel and Iran. Furthermore, we cannot forget that it is urgent to guarantee access for humanitarian aid to Gaza, to have an immediate ceasefire and the unconditional release of the remaining hostage. Finally, we must stay the course in our collective resolve to support Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Supporting United States-led peace efforts and ensuring they have the best chance of success. Shaping the conditions for lasting peace, including long-term security guarantees. Continuing to provide military and financial support to Ukraine, empowering its defense, deterring future aggression, and enabling swift reconstruction. And increasing pressure on Russia by imposing additional sanctions to cripple its ability to wage war and pressing for an unconditional ceasefire.
In 2002, the G7 met here as the G8. Russia was still at the table and was seemingly seeking closer ties with the West. What we saw then as a chance for peace turned out, as we all know, to be a vast illusion. 2 decades later, the world stands at an inflection point. We're confronted with wars we thought were consigned to history, and the global landscape is increasingly shaped by global competition. This is why this summit will be defined by geoeconomics and geopolitics. We will start with the topic of Ukraine. President Zelensky will be joining us tomorrow, actually the day after tomorrow. He has shown the willingness to agree to an unconditional ceasefire. President Putin, on the other hand, has escalated attacks on Ukraine. To achieve peace through strength, we must put more pressure on Russia to secure a real ceasefire, to bring Russia to the negotiating table, and to end this war. Sanctions are critical to that end. As a result of the G7 and EU sanctions combined, for example, Russian oil and gas revenues have fallen by almost 80% since the beginning of the war. So the sanctions are working. And we will do more. Last week, we put forward a proposal for an 18th sanctions package. I will invite all G7 partners to join us in this endeavour. And Europe is committed to putting Ukraine in a position of strength. We're following with deep concern the situation, following Israel's strikes on Iran and the Iranian response. I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu today. I reiterated Europe's commitment to peace and stability in the Middle East. In this context, Israel has the right to defend itself. Iran is the principal source of regional instability, and we've always been very clear. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We have voiced our strong concerns over Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. A diplomatic solution remains the best way in the long run to address concerns about Iran's nuclear program. And Europe remains committed to finding a lasting solution through a negotiated deal. For this, we are ready to work with partners in the region and beyond. We will also stay very vigilant what the implications for the international energy markets is concerned. As I discussed with President Trump yesterday, we are ready to coordinate among the like-minded partners to safeguard market stability, specifically the energy market stability. My final point is on maintaining the strength of the G7. Almost 50 years on, the G7 has proven its worth as a global leadership forum. Its relevance over the next 50 years will depend on our ability to both stay united and remain attractive. This year, we are joined by Brazil, India, South Africa, South Korea, Australia and Mexico. Europe already has strong ties with each of them. We are and we will remain firm believers in democracy, in openness and outreach. To conclude, let me go back to 2002 for a second. Yes, the world was different. The G7, then G8, was different, and the European Union itself was different. Back then, we were expanding from within, but less focused on our geopolitical clout.
You mentioned your call today with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and you talked about how a diplomatic solution is necessary. Was that a message that you made to Prime Minister Netanyahu? Do you believe that diplomatic solution is now preferable to the military conflict? Was there a call for an end to the violence? And do you think the G7 here has a message that could potentially send toward ending the conflict? Thanks.
So, of course it will be a topic at G7 without any question, and we'll discuss it. We should keep in mind that just this week the International Atomic Energy Agency issued a resolution denouncing Iran's breach. And as I've said in the introductory remarks, Iran should never acquire nuclear weapons. So in the call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, he described the situation. We were both, of course, aligned in the fact that Iran should not have nuclear weapons without any question. Of course, I think a negotiated solution is, in the long term, the best solution. So we discussed the topics, and as we discussed, of course, also the Prime Minister described to me the theater itself and how the development is very important. In the same phone call, I insisted and urged that humanitarian aid that is not reaching Gaza has to go into Gaza. He promised that this is the case and that this will be the case.
Do you think that this is a summit, a control damage summit, or something that you can build up something that you can continue it in the next European and Canada summit?
Well, we are allies, we are partners, and we are friends of the United States. And between partners, allies, and friends, when some problem comes, what we need is to talk. And we are here in this very crucial moment to talk, not only with the United States, but also with the other partners.
And when I look at the number of countries going to the G7, here there's around a dozen countries who all look forward to meeting the US President Trump to discuss their issues on trade. Even the UK Prime Minister, who had a deal on trade, apparently still needs to talk to Trump about that. Are you going to meet Trump and discuss trade during the summit, and what do you expect from that? Yeah. And additionally, on the question on trade, we see more and more how the US president links the question of security and the US willingness to help Europe in the area of security to economic issues, not only trade but also economic issues. Are you worried in that area, or should we just be calm when it comes to this link between economic issues and security? Thank you.
Well, we are always calm when it's about to talk with a friend, with a ally, and with a partner. Of course, the main issue between Europe and the United States is precisely about the European defense. And we should focus on this main issue. As we know, the United States have now a new geopolitical priority, and this means that the United States want to rebalance the burden sharing of European defense. And from the Europe point of view, this is also we are going in the same direction. In March 2022, we decided that we need to assume greater responsibility on our own defense. We should avoid to introduce other issues that undermine our economic capacity to assume greater responsibility on our own defense. That's why this is not the right moment to create uncertainty on economics. It's not the right moment to create problems on trade, because we need to strengthen our economic basis. The United States need also to strengthen their economic basis, and we are talking about the most relevant trade relation in the world. Then,
as you know, we are fully engaged in the trade negotiations right now, and I was always very clear, and I want to reiterate it here, that I absolutely prefer negotiated solutions for exactly the reasons the President Costa was just mentioning. So you also know that I agreed with President Trump that we want to find a common solution till the 9th of July. We are also working on lowering the trade barriers